1976 was another fine year for one singer-songwriter who established a reputation throughout the 1970s as being both nostalgic and contemporary, and rather diverse in her musical explorations and her choice of collaborators. I am talking about Carly Simon, and from her sixth solo studio album, Another Passenger, the track Half a Chance.
You said we laid the firmament, you swore our love was permanent.
Already, this song establishes quite a unique rhythmic pattern by John Hartman and Keith Knudsen. Both are credited with drums, and Victor Feldman on percussion.
Said we'd stick through thick and thin, through up and down, through lose and win. Here comes the first sign of stormy weather. You're packing your bags in a trance.
Okay, let's catch up with the lyrics. You said we'd light the firmament. You said our love was permanent. Permanent. I've never heard that couplet before. That's an original rhyme. You said we'd stick through thick and thin, through up and down, through lose and win. But comes the first sign of stormy weather, you're packing your bags in the trance, but you've got to give half a chance. Goes right in, slides right in. The final line slides right into the that's an interesting technique where the final couplet is like, let's say 3/4 in the verse and 1/4 the actual chorus. So it's obvious what this is about. It's about someone giving up easily on a relationship.
You gotta give half a chance, oh baby. Give half a chance, oh darling. Give half a chance, oh baby.
I love this chord progression. Yeah, it's like A minor, maybe A7 minor, and I think I'd have to catch it again to see if it was like G7 or F.
And pretend it's Campbell.
I just heard a very interesting lyric there, but let's see who else is playing on this. Tiran Porter on bass, and the vocal. I wanted to really cover the backing vocals we just heard, because they really helped illuminate that chorus and add like harmonic depth and all. Ellen Kearney, Lee Kunkle, and Linda Ronstadt, as well as Carly Simon multi-tracking herself.
Start to run when things get hot. Love explodes, there's always heat. There's always bitter with the sweet.
Okay, now you heard those light, soft strings, adding just a little bit of depth, a little bit of like sonic fill out, and arranged by David Campbell. And let's catch up on the lyrics here. You can't pretend it's Camelot. Yeah, that's what I was saying about the King Arthur legend. It just right before I queued this up, I was googling that too. I was remembering this commercial that I saw like 36 years ago when I was like 10 years old, about this play that was on tour, Camelot, and when I Google the word Camelot, it comes up with images of Richard Harris, I guess, in the starring role, and yeah, that's exactly what I was remembering from 1983. It was, yeah, I guess Richard Harris around that time was in a touring version of Camelot, because I always remember that part in the commercial where Richard Harris is saying, "Here in Camelot," and he at the time was looking kind of like I look now, like had kind of a gray beard and all. And of course, at 10 years old, I didn't really understand theater or that whole like medium of art. And I remember me and some of my friends were making fun of that commercial at the time. I had been meaning to Google that actually and find out more about that tour of the. Yeah. Anyway, getting sidetracked here. You can't pretend it's Camelot, then start to run when things get hot. So you can't pretend it's like paradise or heaven on earth, or like, and then, and then skip out the moment there's a bit of turbulence. When love explodes, there's always heat. There's always bitter with the sweet. Oh, I really like that metaphor. When love explodes, there's always heat. Yeah, that's like a pull quote. There's always times when your legs feel broken, but you still don't drop out of the dance. You got to. That's another clever metaphor. And then once again, we have that couplet that gets split between the verse and the chorus. But you don't drop out of the dance. You got to give half a chance. Chorus right there. Yeah. Yeah. I guess quite a bit could be said there about that one line. When love explodes, there's always heat. Yeah, I imagine a paragraph could be written on that alone. Yeah, when things get really passionate, there's bound to be strong emotions that can teeter at times because I've heard a few people say, like in videos I've watched and such, that when two people are passionate about the same thing, but there's just a slight difference in personality, that there are bound to be conflicts as a result of that, because each have their own firm ideas about how the topic ought to be approached or handled. And I've also heard that when two people that have a lot in common with just maybe a slight variant from one another are bound to hate each other a lot more than two people that are very different from one another and don't really have common interests.
There's always times when your legs feel broken, but you still don't drop out of the dance. 'Cause you gotta give half a chance, oh baby. Give half a chance now, darling.
I'm definitely hearing, let's see, the female backup vocals. Oh yeah, Leah Kunkle. Okay, I was thinking of another Kunkle. It's a or Lee. Yeah. Okay, so
Give half a chance, oh baby.
yeah, sorry for mistaking one of the names like that. And that solo is by Andrew Love.
There's always times when your legs feel broken, but you still don't drop out of the dance. 'Cause you gotta give half a chance.
Okay, it looks like I've covered all the lyrics, but I am not really hearing Victor Feldman on this, who's primarily a mallet player. I guess he's just playing hand percussion on this. I'm surprised that they would have two drummers credited on this. I mean, what? I hear basically like one drum set. Okay, and that saxophonist that we heard was has quite the career. Yeah, Andrew Love. He had been on Stax Vault Records back to the early 1960s. Played on a lot of Otis Redding titles. Clarence Carter, Aretha Franklin. Yeah. And let's see, who else is notable on this track? Well, on guitar, 3 guitarists on this album, eh? Andrew Gold, Jeff Baxter, and Patrick Simmons. So a heavy Doobies presence. Michael McDonald on piano. I guess all just kind of reined in and playing with the song. And yeah, I didn't really notice any of those guys here. I like the sax solo stood out. The strings caught my ears at one point. And primarily it was just the song. It was just the song and Carly Simon's words and the background vocals that really stood out. Oh, even if I couldn't quite necessarily pick out Linda Ronstadt's voice. Yeah, half a chance. And I really do like that key structure, dun, dun, which was, yeah, I didn't pay enough attention, though, to the second or third time around to catch that key change, like I said I would. But let's move on to another track on the album, Riverboat Gambler. Kind of a jazzy lounge feel. That was kind of a direction that she was exploring on this album. I wonder if she was somewhat inspired by Joni Mitchell, who had been going in that direction for a few years prior, especially by this point.
Drinking alone on the prowl, chasing your bourbon with Tennessee gin.
I love that key change right there.
The big game's about to begin.
Yeah, those when they start going into flats and sharps like that. There was like a B flat. It was either a B flat or an E flat. I think I'm hearing a major seventh in there, like C, but I think no.
Hiding that ace up your sleeve.
Yeah, I love the way how these like minor chords they'll throw in kind of like a descending bass note, dun 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 dun, like.
See through all the gravity stuff.
Yeah, that was an E flat major 7.
Your smile.
Oh, hear the way she stretches out those vowels just so effortlessly.
And I won't take your hand, and I won't do you in. I want to stay near you. I want you to win.
She's always had a very like unmistakable voice. And I notice here that she's just kind of like letting it sort of ooze out. Not forcing anything. Like she's one of those singers that doesn't really have to do anything too outlandish to be immediately recognized and noticed. I mean, because you notice her voice instantly because it's so distinctive.
Want you to win.
Yeah, you notice her voice regardless of what she's saying or singing or how she's singing it. Let's catch up on the lyrics here. Riverboat gambler, drinking alone on the prowl, chasing your bourbon with Tennessee gin, the big name's about to begin, riverboat gambler, hiding that Av up your sleeve, hiding that, I can see through all that debonair style, the irony bending your smile. hiding that av, I'm a little bit lost on that one. Av, an expression of greeting or of leave taking. Hail, farewell. How do you, huh? That must have be a word that kind of fell out of use over time. Fallen out of use. Used to express good wishes on meeting or parting. A shout of welcome or farewell. I don't think that quite fits the sentence. It's capitalized too, but then again, this is genius.com. Okay, I'm going to read that stanza again. Riverboat Gambler, hiding that av up your sleeve. I can see through all that debonair style, the irony bending your smile. I'm getting a sense that this is kind of like about a charmer. About, actually, this is like kind of like a similar in topic to another song I've been having on my mind lately. Infamous Mister by Campbell, which is not too dissimilar from this actually, even if it's a bit more upbeat, a bit more urban, funky. Both are about like high rollin' schmoozer types. Yeah. And I won't tip your hand, I won't do you in. I want to stay near you, I want you to win. So this is spoken from the point of view of a woman who is being charmed by a player, by a gambler, by a schmoozer, by a, yeah. And as with the last track, strings and woodwinds are arranged by David Campbell. David Campbell has quite the career behind him. He, during the early 1970s, his talents were heard on albums by Carole King, a couple of songs on Tapestry, Jimmy Spheris, Jackson Browne, Wendy Waldman, and Jane Getz. Oh yeah, who first recorded as Mother Hen and then put out an album, No Ordinary Child, 1973. Yeah. Yeah, I remember finding that album sealed at Amoeba Records in LA like 16 years ago. Yeah, that was quite a special find at the time.
You can draw diamonds to fill out your flush. You can find someone to trust. And I won't steal your chips, but I won't steal your pride.
I love the way those lush strings work against those key changes when it goes from because the verses start out in fairly conventional chords, but then they shift into like sharps and flats, going into that kind of alternate key realm with more of an emphasis on major sevenths, and like how the strings kind of emphasize those notes.
Take me on faith, won't you let me inside? Let me inside, Riverboat Gambler. There are velvet and lace.
Let's see, drums on this are by Rick Jagger, and I believe he's using brushes on this. And he's got an interesting set of credits behind him. A whole bunch of Dave Mason albums. AB Sky, that name crops up again. I was just talking about them like about a week ago in one of the videos. Crowfoot. Yeah, stuff on like a Reprise, Blue Thumb Records. Elvin Bishop. Yeah, it seems like there's quite a consistent group of people who had played on these assorted rustic rock albums during the early 1970s. Hear that low light electric piano? Yeah, once again, Michael McDonald. Making this one of at least two albums that he had a presence on, because on this album she does a version of their of the Doobies' then current "It Keeps You Running," and on the next album she would have a cover, her hit cover of "You Belong to Me." Yeah, her 1978 album, which had been on their 1977 "Living on a Fault Line" album. Yeah.
Come on and let me inside.
Oh, you hear that note that she held out like that? I don't see any backing vocalists credited, although I thought I heard a man's voice. The way that glowy tone just kind of played out over the last notes of those string sustains. Yeah, this song, that was Carly Simon with Riverboat Gambler, and before that, Half a Chance from her 1976 album, Another Passenger, her sixth solo studio album. Yeah. Carly Simon having recorded solos since 1971. After, in the 60s, she had recorded a few albums with her sister Lucy Simon as the Simon Sisters. And both of these songs that we heard were co-written by Jacob Brackman, co-written between Simon and Jacob Brackman. And he's got quite a list of writing credits, I guess, that... Well, a lot with her, and then also some credits with, like, latter-day Sarah Vaughan, and some other things, Lou Bond, and Dionne Warwick, and Anita Bryant. I almost wasn't even going to mention that. Yeah, anyway, yeah, Carly Simon showing her range as a vocalist, songwriter, and able to tackle different arrangements with grace, restraint, style. Yeah, one of the most distinctive voices in American music of the 1970s, and so distinctive that she doesn't really need any vocal gimmicks, I guess, to get attention. I mean, the moment you hear her voice, it's like you instantly know who that is. I don't quite know. I'm not enough of a vocal expert to know exactly where that's coming from in her. But there's a certain, I don't know, kind of like reedy tone or whatever. I only use that description because I once saw it used to describe, I saw it once used to describe English vocalist John Watts. They described his voice as a reedy tenor. And I think there's a certain way the two voices resonate that I would kind of almost put her as... In some regards, I guess what I'm really saying there, where I'm really going with this, is that I would perhaps describe her as kind of like a female version of, say, the Sting, John Watts, John Anderson category of vocalists. Yeah, perhaps. Even if she tends to sing in the mid-range a bit more, she can also go kind of into the higher range and kind of at times almost sound like a a male, excuse me, like a female version of those male singers. Anyway, for more rubies and sapphires from the catalog of Carly Simon, see the directory of albums by American singer-songwriters and blue-eyed soul artists linked in the description below. Like and subscribe and follow me on social media, and leave a comment if there are any observations you have about these two songs, the lyrics, the arrangements, the instrumentation, and the vocals. And until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most ear-traveled tram maximalist, signing off.